What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
What's up, Internet?
Listen up now.
I'm Aries Van Dam, Gen X Genius, Salt and Pepper Savant, Shaman of Logic, all that shit. And this is my co-host. Well, he's not in his seat. I think you can see him. I don't even need to change the camera. He's up high today. He's awake. More than I can say for me. Yeah, okay. So, please, if you're a fan of the show and you watch, from time to time, please throw a subscription up there. I'm trying to get monetized, so I don't have to be a fake nice guy. I want to be an asshole for you people, and you want that too. So go ahead and subscribe, and I won't have to do a bunch of ads and fake shit that all the other YouTubers do that I hate. So let's do that. I'm really tired today. The debate went, let me turn this down a little bit. The debate, it went a little late last night, and I didn't get to take my gummy till almost 11:30. So, and it ended up turning into more of a conversation than a debate. But we will be posting it later today or tomorrow. And I really want to red pill that guy. I got to know him a little too well. He's a nice guy, and I just like the guy. I want to fucking make him understand this. So, but it was a good conversation. I think he's thinking about a lot of things today, and the red pill is going to happen. I'm going to red pill Matt Van. I may have him on the show later this week, and y'all can talk to him too if y'all want to meet Matt Van, the guy that I debated Sunday. So we got 3 videos today, though. So we're going to try and get to all 3 of them, but I'm really tired. So let's get into it. Let me turn the music off. I don't know why it does that. All right. Yeah, it does. Here we go.
She's even banned from entering Britain long before that became cool. Well, Southern famously gave it all up to become a so-called trad wife. She's now given that up too. Her new book, This Is Not Real Life, takes aim at the manosphere she helped to create. Lauren Southern joins me now, and the unrepentant Andrew Wilson, host of The Crucible, is standing by with an alternative view. See, in your memoir, This Is Not Real Life, you detail these 3 axes.
Now, people who know the history here have been wanting this debate for a long time. Andrew Wilson and Lauren Southern, Destiny's side piece. So let's get into it.
In detail. And you start the memoir by saying your journey is that of a reverse Hitler. And you want to explore what happens when one wakes up from the ideological slumber. Just explain that.
Sure, I'm being a bit facetious when I call it a reverse Hitler. I don't really consider myself alt-right, not at any point in my life. However, I've certainly had more hardline beliefs when I was younger. I went viral at 19, and it's very easy to be certain about the world and how people should live their lives when you haven't actually lived it. And that's a very popular formula to get lots of accolades online because people want simple solutions. They don't want to actually have to look inward. They don't want to have to go through the complicated aspects of life where things don't always have a simple ABCD solution. We want to know it's either all women that are at fault for the problems with their dating life or all men that are at fault.
It's all women. We know.
For the problems with their dating life. And that if you just follow a certain code, a radical ideology, everything will go perfect. But that's not how reality works. And I certainly learned that firsthand.
So I've got Andrew Wilson from The Crucible here. You're going to listen to a bit of this, Andrew, then give your view, and we'll put you both together. But I just want to play a video. This is the first video that went viral, really, called Why I'm Not a Feminist. This is where you filmed yourself at a so-called feminist slut walks, mocking women who were protesting against rape. You now say you regret it, but let's take a look at the clip.
Did they teach rape a lesson with that protest? Like, what? Nobody's for that.
I'm used to it. My short skirt is happiness.
I was just curious as to what her sign meant. That's all.
If you want to know what my sign means
that this is not a rape culture, because rapists go to prison here. Rapists are actually hated here. Rapists are fired from their jobs. Men who make rape jokes are fired from their jobs. Go to Africa and you will see a real rape culture.
I mean, what do you feel about that when you watch it back?
You know, it's not often people have their 19-year-old thoughts immortalized on the internet. It's not that I was wrong about everything. Of course, there are men who are sexually assaulted. Of course, certainly in the era of woke, there were a lot of men just being demonized for no reason, for making jokes. I don't disagree with every opinion I had, but I don't think that...
This is why you can't trust trad wife influencers, because 10 years later, they'll just say, I didn't mean none of that shit. I was young and stupid. So why even listen to them? They don't mean it. They're not going to mean it in 10 years.
Going to these slut walks and having debates with people who are not prepared to talk about these issues, who are clearly, in some cases, you know, you're running around naked in the street to protest something. You may not be in the best state of mind. This is not the intellectual discourse that's going to solve anything. It's clickbait. And that really was the beginning of these quick on the street, you know, 10-second clips of catch someone in their worst moment and will claim this is what all women are like. We'll claim this is what all men are like. I don't think that's productive to discourse. And I think it's really destroyed the online culture.
You wrote in the book, I wasn't a Nazi, though I can't deny that the constant stream of internet messages praising me for embodying that identity created a disorienting, dreamlike state around the concept. Nazism became less of a historic reality and more of an abstract movie-like aesthetic and joke.
For sure.
But that's a pretty devastating thing to admit, isn't it? That you found Nazism a joke and a kind of movie-like aesthetic, not reality, because the reality is so completely horrendous.
Well, I think when you've grown up on the internet, which I did, you know, I've been on computers since I was 3 years old, everything becomes a bit distant. Reality is always put through this deep fry of online culture. And you see this with people who have the hammer and sickle in their bios on Twitter that are LARPing as communists. Do you think that they would fare very well in Soviet Russia? You know, half of them would probably be in the camps. This is when you're 19, when you're 20, these ideologies are... It is funny. It's used as a form of humor. It's used as a form to LARP and an aesthetic. I don't know what else to tell you. This is not the mind, a fully developed mind that has integrated and really felt the world. All of it is too far away from me when I'm that age to take seriously. Not great. Not saying that's an awesome thing, but that is the reality of the online discourse right now and the one that I was a part of.
When you were 22, you stepped away from the internet to marry and pursue a life as a trad wife, traditional housewife. And you write about this, I genuinely want to live up to the ideals I champion publicly, the moral person, the defender of family. I wanted to become that person. I clung to believe that even if I stumbled on the path, I could still get this part right. If there was one thing I could redeem, one role I could succeed in, it had to be this. I thought that if I could just be successful at marriage, it would fix me. But that idea was a recipe for disaster from the start, and sure enough, your
and then she met a Kuma gremlin.
Became
sorry, and then she met a Kuma gremlin and couldn't resist.
Justified. The marriage ended in a very bitter breakup. What did you learn through that period of your life?
Well, first of all, I entered the conservative media space thinking that it was something that it wasn't. And I lived a life that wasn't traditional. I lived a life that wasn't preparing me for a real marriage. It was a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the conservative space. But that's something I learned along the way, is that a lot of this is performative, as well as the trad life stuff you see online. I went, and when I was married, it was not a healthy situation, but I was sitting and posting on...
So she was pretending to be a trad wife and blowing guys behind the scenes. So that's what they all are, really. Like, she's giving us an eye behind what all these women are like. Yeah, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. She just said that. That's what trad wives are. So you get to marry her thinking you're getting this traditional woman who's blown every other commentator out there. So enjoy.
Instagram, pies that I was baking, saying I've never been happier, because that's what I wanted reality to be. And that's how I wanted other people to think about me. And I think we forget that people are doing this on a political level as well. We know everyone's editing their photos on Instagram. We know everyone's doing certain poses to look a certain way, but people are politically...
To hide the fat.
Posing themselves to be of ideological sects, whether it be Christian, because you get a lot of money and accolades for doing that, or, you know, a communist, and they're not living these ways. They're living in mansions. You know, if they're an activist for Greenpeace, they're flying in private jets. This is just another aspect of that is going on in the right-wing sphere, is the trad life LARPing. And I did that. I was essentially, not intentionally, I was lying to my audience about what reality was, because that's what I wanted it to be, because I didn't want to be a proof of concept gone wrong for the ideology I had promoted for 10 plus years and essentially ruined my life for, got banned from countries for, arrested, questioned under the Terrorism Act. I didn't want me to be a proof of concept gone wrong, the same as detransitioners get kicked out of the left because they're proof of concept gone wrong, right? We ignore the people who fail these things because we want simple solutions and ideologies that always work, but that is not real life.
You conclude the book by saying, I truly believe our minds are being sold to the highest bidder and that politics isn't the path to real change that many believe it is. Technology is being wielded to distort our perception of reality. And in the end, it doesn't matter if our digitally curated governments are red or blue, they have no souls. Andrew, let me bring you in here. I mean, you've been listening to what Lauren's been saying. What do you make of it?
Well, there's some truth to it, and there's some things that have no truth to it at all. The first thing that I would say is I agree to some extent with what she's saying about, maybe 19-year-olds being political activists isn't the best idea. But for Southern, the big problem that she has a credibility issue, and the credibility issue is self-imposed. It's not a credibility issue due to external factors that happened to her. It's credibility issues due to the actions that she herself took.
With a coma gremlin.
So the idea here is, like, first of all, you don't actually have any evidence for the position. It's all anecdotal. There's nothing. It's nothing more than just kind of vibe. She's just vibing it out.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the actual evidence for this? I have a completely different aspect in media and a completely different experience than you had. But I also wasn't doing all the drugs. I wasn't having all the sex. I wasn't doing all that shit. And so it's like, that's going to...
Traditional sex, Andrew. That's traditional sex when she does it.
That's definitely going to mesh out a totally different experience for you than it would for me. So why should we believe... I guess my position reduced is, I don't think that the right pushed you out because you weren't good enough. I think that the right pushed you out because of decisions that you made, which led to a credibility problem. And that most...
Right, because she was fake. She wasn't real. She was pretending. She even admitted she was LARPing. So they saw through that and got rid of her. That's what the issue was.
of this is just cope.
Lauren?
I'm not concerned. Yeah, I'm not concerned about the right pushing me out or the left not liking me. A whole lot of people don't like me for various reasons. But I don't think this has much to do with my good or bad decisions. I've lived a very strange life. Analyzing my relationships as any sort of thing that could be imposed on the wider population just doesn't make sense at all. Most people don't have a Wikipedia page that labels them a Nazi or a white supremacist. Most people haven't been banned from a variety of countries or had feds show up at their door trying.
And no one in her audience would have cared about any of that shit. What they cared about was her blowing Destiny. That's what they cared about. They were like, nope.
Trying to convince them to be, an asset. This is not a normal life. But when I do look at the average life of people around me, they are struggling to impose trad ideals. It's something they may want, but they simply can't have the stay-at-home housewife when the economy is the way it is. Just let me finish, Andrew. And it's not even what most people want. 75% of men say they want a working woman in their life. Men who get married older and women who get married older tend...
Just meaning they don't want a lazy bitch that they got to pay for everything for. Yeah, no man is just looking for some woman to come move onto the sofa. Yeah, you can go get a job, like go be a bookkeeper, go be a, receptionist, something like that. Sure. But we don't want a vice president.
To have more successful relationships, higher educated families tend to be less likely to divorce. A lot of the stuff that the trad life is advocating simply does not play out in positive results, born in the data or in what I'm seeing around me.
Yeah, but this is really elusive, right? And you use ambiguous language and equivocation here a bit. Let's start with this. What is trad exactly? What even is it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. If you look at the online world, I think it's this assumption that you have the man go to work, you have the woman stay home, she's having the children, you get married very young, you stay a virgin until marriage, you don't go to university, you kind of go into the trade. Certainly women don't get educated. There's just this idea that we go back to the 50s, which I think...
No, it means don't go get programmed at college. Don't go get the indoctrination that they do to little girls where they teach them feminism and make it to where they can't love a man ever again. Yeah, don't do that.
It's just fantasy. It's fantasy.
Who's advocating? Well, tell me who's advocating for these things, because that's not the advocation that I ever see when it comes from traditionalists. What traditionalists seem to always be Hang on. I'm sorry too. I didn't cut you off. I just let you finish. What I see advocated from traditionalists is something completely different. They're trying to epitomize a value structure, not necessarily a lifestyle structure. Not saying that moms can't go have jobs. They're saying that they need that a wife is supposed to prioritize all of her family before herself and the husband too. It's a self-sacrificial system based on a hierarchy, and mostly a church hierarchy. Those are the advocations of the values that I see, not a go back to the nuclear family 1950s. We've been past that for an awful long time. So I don't actually even know, like, who are these people that you're referencing here specifically? Who are these specific people who are saying this, we want to go back to the 50s, women aren't allowed to work, right? Who's saying it?
I'll tell you one who's saying it, actually, Andrew Tate. Now, you say, because he says it...
Yes, the traditional Muslim. Yeah, he's so traditional, Pierce. Shut up.
Brazenly. That's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to take women back to the 50s. He wants them to stay at home, not be allowed to work, not be allowed to vote.
But Andrew Tate's not a traditionalist at all. He's the opposite.
No, but he's advocating for a return to the kind of dark ages for women where they have absolutely no right to talk.
Maybe, but he's not a traditionalist. Southern's talking specifically about traditionalists. Mm-hmm. And I'm asking her the specific question. Who are these traditionalists specifically who are making these advocations that a mom who has children at home can't have a part-time job, but rather, hey, it's probably good to avoid babysitting fees, things like this, to have one parent who stays at home, one parent who works, if it's possible, to prioritize their children. That seems completely rational, reasonable to me. Who's advocating this throwback to the 1950s specifically?
I think that's great that you don't have these views, Andrew. And I would agree with you that the average normal traditionalist living in the real world does not possess these beliefs.
That's not answering my question.
Online, I'm about to answer your question. As Piers noted, the LARPers online, like Andrew Tate, the people who are posting Norman Rockwell photos and saying face. He's not. He's LARPing, as I've been LARPing.
He's not LARPing as that even. He's a Muslim. No traditional, like the people you're talking about don't follow Muslims typically. He's a different thing. You may not like what he says, but that doesn't make him a traditionalist. Like he's talking about some things that some are traditional, but he's not your standard traditionalist is what they're trying to say.
He's not LARPing as a traditionalist either.
When 10 years ago, I had to make a video explaining why I wasn't married because I was getting so much pressure in my comments section saying, why aren't you married?
So her issue is with her commenters, right? That's it. Who gives a shit? I argue with all my commenters when they throw hate at me. Who cares? You can't take that seriously.
At 21 years old, Lauren, this is not a random phenomenon that I'm making up. You can go watch it. It has over 1 million views because there was so much curiosity.
People don't change their worldview because a troll in the comments told you to. That's stupid.
In why I wasn't married at that age, because I was a part of this right-wing community, and not all of it's bad, but there's a lot of LARPers. I'm not giving you names. There are
the names of these people specifically.
Commenters.
The name one.
Juicy Booty 54 said it. Who gives a shit?
I'm saying they're LARPers. They're LARPers, like Andrew Tate.
Who is the LARPer? Andrew Tate's not a traditionalist. Who are the traditionalists specifically who are advocating these things? I think you built an entire straw.
He needs to just go down the list. Did Michael Knowles tell you this? What about go to all these like people who pretend to be traditional? Go through them all and ask them, are they telling you this? Because she can't name one. It's all commenters. Trolls in her comments made her change her worldview. And they'll try to tell you they're a strong woman.
There's anyone online that's advocating.
Name them.
I grew up, I listened to Prager University, which said you shouldn't go to university. You shouldn't. You should get married younger. You shouldn't bother getting educated. These are all. I just said Prager University videos that I watched when I was younger. In the right
video I watched.
Who?
Dennis Prager himself.
Dennis Prager himself not make an advocation to go back to the 1950s. Ridiculous.
The idea that there isn't a general sentiment that you shouldn't go to university, that you should get married young, that women should be at home having babies, on the right.
It's
It's just the most
completely-
absurd thing
then-
I've ever seen.
then wh-
You can look
then
at
why
like
don't
the
Who is going to have the babies then? Am I going to have them? Like that is what traditionalism is. You should have babies. You should be at home trying to have babies. You could still work. You can go get a little part-time job or whatever. But no one is saying you got to change your whole worldview.
redheaded
people.
libertarian and all these people saying women shouldn't
Then-
vote. If you
Well,
watch a
women-
Timcast
redhead
episode, there's
libertarian.
plenty of influencers on there saying we need to go back. We need to return
you
to
can't
tradition.
name.
I can't
Who you
believe you're
can't
even
name.
I've named like 4 people here.
Who? Name one.
I just said redheaded libertarian when she goes on Timcast. She's
Redheaded
talking all about how women
libertarian.
shouldn't vote.
So a Timcast NPC says it. Okay, so what?
Redheaded libertarian may think that the 19th Amendment needs to be repealed for external reasons. I don't know exactly what her reasons would be, but that would
I
have
have nothing
to
against
do.
these people either.
That would
but
have
the idea
nothing-
that there isn't this
Lauren,
advocacy going on the
Lauren.
internet is absurd.
That has nothing to do with the position that these are traditionalists who are saying we need to move back to the 1950s and wives can't work, and that's ridiculous. I've never heard this inside of any of these circles.
You've
Most
never heard the
traditionalists-
argument. You've never heard the argument that, hey, women coming into the workforce ruins society. We need to repeal the 19th. We need to get rid
No,
of.
these
you know,
are mass oversimplifications.
You've never
Here's
heard
what I
this on the
hear.
internet. You've
Here's
never
what
heard
I
anyone
hear.
make this.
I'm going to tell you that what you're doing is oversimplifying complex issues, which people are prone to do. So the oversimplification
On the internet,
isn't
yes.
isn't that traditionalists are saying women came into the workforce and ruined it. They make arguments based around the fact that
I say
wages
that.
necessarily increase if you inflate the workforce. And that's true, right? That's just objectively a fact. And so they point this out
It's a fact that they ruin the workplace too.
and point out that if there's a reduction of the workforce, people have much better ways to collectively bargain. Even Democrats used to know that that was true, right? What you're doing is you're oversimplifying it by completely building a straw man around what you consider traditionalism to be, and then you attack that. But when I ask you to specifically name the people who are creating these advocations in your overly simplistic way, you can't because there aren't any.
Okay,
The
that's a
redheaded
fair point. That's a
libertarian-
fair point. But Andrew, let's take the manosphere and the likes of Andrew Tate and Fuentes always go, because they do have a very fixed view about a woman's place in the world, and they do have a very large audience that they pump into of predominantly young men, right? And I think it's an incredibly unhealthy influence that they wield. And, you know, Lauren says in her book, I believe change is possible. I believe in redemption for Andrew Tate, but understanding why people do what they do and hoping for their greater spiritual good does.
Yeah, Pierce would think it's really dangerous to have a message of, hey, keep your women in line. Don't let them act like however they want to act. Yeah, that's very dangerous to Pierce's worldview because he likes to simp for his lady.
Doesn't mean they shouldn't be stopped. And the reality is you can't stop people like Andrew Tate if they don't want to be stopped.
Can't stop your women from having sex with other men either, can you?
Unless he gets incarcerated, which he may well be. But in terms of his views pumped out to his millions of followers that women shouldn't have a vote, shouldn't have a job, should stay at home, all the things Lauren was saying, and let's put aside the traditional, the trad.
He also says the man has to make enough money to be able to afford them to not have to do that too. Wouldn't that be like taking care of your woman? Is that a bad thing, Piers?
Part of this and talk about a modern bastardization of trad, if you like, in the face of people like Tate. What do we do about that? As a society, what do we do about people like Andrew Tate, who I think are brazen misogynists?
Change the channel if you don't like it. That's what you do, Pierce. Same thing people do with you. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I mean the phenomenon of Tate came about specifically because there's an overcorrection to over-feminization of various things in culture. And Tate was one of the guys who came out and was like, no, all things masculine are actually good, and this kind of thing. Now, I don't have any large advocacy for Tate's message. I believe much of it is degenerate, and I've said so publicly. There's not a lot you can do about it, though, until you stop demonizing masculinity in every single sphere which exists, and that is actually happening. You can say, no, that's just part of some culture war thing, but it's actually not. You actually do see this in society in general terms, and I can give you examples of it. Now, as far as Fuentes is concerned, you're talking about two distinct ideologies which are coming together. The Fuentes ideology is focusing on everything from a religious Catholic lens. Within the purview of his lens, it's hierarchical. And so it's not that women have less ontological value. It's just that within the hierarchy of family, the man's going to be the Christ head, and the woman who's the wife is going to be subservient to the Christ head. That's the way that it operates within his view. That's consistent with his view. Now,
Lauren is wondering which one of those purviews Destiny's going to fall into, the man or the woman.
that's consistent with most Catholic views, in fact. Now, Lauren's right in a sense that when that's applied, it's very tough, but the church promises you that it's going to be. It's really going to be a tough thing to submit to your husband. It's really going to be a tough thing for the man to submit to the church. The church assures you that this is going to be the case. They assure you of it. So it's not like you don't know that it's your cross to bear, that this is going to be really tough. It is really tough. And I've never heard anybody BS about that it's real tough to be a Christian. It sure is.
Lauren, you were brought up in a very evangelical household. So what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases, young people like me who grew up evangelical tend to run from it because as soon as it's hit with the real world, a lot of our ideology falls apart since we were sheltered. We were sheltered from, oh my goodness, wait, you can lie, you can do these things. And especially when you have this kind of online performance of Christianity, when you meet these characters in real life and they don't actually live this way, it gets very confusing. And I think, it's all well and good for Andrew to say, well, we just need to adhere to the church. And I agree. I think that would really help society. But most young people are not being raised religious. They're not being raised in homes that have morals and traditions. They are being raised on modern media. They're having sex before marriage. They're starting OnlyFans. They're going off the path and they don't see a way back. And I think calling them irredeemable, going on things like the Whatever podcast or Fresh and Fit and calling them whores or sluts, which there's another one, Myron Gaines, one of these people promoting this very rigid.
What if they are those things? You're just supposed to ignore it? Like, I thought he was going to do more on the Coomer Gremlin thing. I should have watched this beforehand.
Belief of where women need to be in society. I don't think that's offering people a solution or a way back. The problems of traditionalism are completely different now than they were 50 years ago. We have things like Tinder and Hinge now. How do we deal with that? There's way more optionality than Christians or anyone ever had in history. We need a different way to tackle this than just telling people return to tradition or go to the church, because they're not going to right now. The church needs to look like something that is enticing, not something that is judging them, something that offers forgiveness, not something that offers them eternal shame.
Andrew?
Yeah, it's funny. This is one of the more common criticisms that's out
Make my church do what I want it to do.
there, and it's completely false. The Christian ethicists that I'm aware of, including the ones who go on whatever podcast like me, specifically talk about the ideas of redemption, the idea to move away from the ideas of sin, to move towards things which are no longer sinful. That is the pathway back. That's the whole point of Christian ethics, is that you're not irredeemable. You're not horrible, ultimately. You are a person who can be redeemed. However, some people are ideologically captured. And when you become ideologically captured, it takes long amounts of conversations to convince you away from ideology, because it creates cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is very painful. But Christianity does offer these redemptions. I don't know where you get the idea that it doesn't. But pointing out that
I agree.
But pointing out that a prostitute is a prostitute, I don't think is problematic. They are indeed prostitutes. Now, I think that calling women whores in a general sense is nonsensical and shouldn't be done just because you don't like how they live or whatever. And by the way, every woman online gets called a whore by somebody. Doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if they're relational to Pierce or it's you or it's it doesn't matter who it is. They're going to get called a whore. That's just the way that it works online. And every guy is a cuck. It doesn't matter who it is. That's how it operates. Okay. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but that's just part of media, right?
Pierce just bit his tongue.
People who are anonymous, they suddenly get very gutsy and ballsy and say all kinds of shit they're not supposed to say. But the point here is that there is an offerance of redemption that comes through these ethical systems. I don't know why you think that there isn't. There always has been. And I don't know why you think that for some reason, the Whatever podcast hosting these ideologies for long form debates, which are 8+ hours most of the time, usually with people who are psychologists, women who are very, very well educated, who go on there to represent their worldviews, is somehow a negative to society, when it's putting on display the very thing that you're talking about. What is the distinct ideology which is offering these very pathways? You seem to only be interested in the fact that, hey, the online culture's messed up. The online culture's always been messed up. It's never not been messed up. It's always going to be messed up because culture itself is screwy. Okay, it just is, ultimately. But when you talk about these ideals, I think most of this is stemming from the fact that, like, look, most of the reason that you're in the situation, I read your book, at least most of it, and I watched your interview with Jeremy Boring.
Thank you.
Most of these
Appreciate that.
that are going on with you are because of you. Now, people
agree.
have completely radically different experiences than you had. And just pointing out that, like, oh, the manosphere is a problem, Christian ethicists are a problem, things like this. But you can't even tell me specifically who. Like, Andrew Tate's not a traditionalist, and you know he's not a traditionalist. I don't even know why you brought him up.
I agree.
So who?
Well, Piers brought him up, but I'm saying it's people LARPing as wanting to return to tradition. It's people LARPing as wanting to save the West. This is my issue, is the LARP that is going on online.
She has an issue with them LARPing after she just admitted she was a LARPer for about a decade or two. What?
Iron gains. We're going to fix society by taking away women's rights. I think that it's akin to the people saying, defund the police. Not only is this just not going to happen unless society falls apart, it's like fantasy football ideologically. And I'm not sitting here and pretending I have a perfect life by any stretch. If you read my book, you'll know most of it is an analysis of my own poor thinking and poor decision making.
Laura, where have you washed up in your life? I mean, how do you feel now as a woman about your place in society? Have you found love again? Are you going to get married again? Kids? I mean, what's your worldview now of that, for example?
I'm a lot less strict in my life about how I think it's supposed to look. I'm not delusional about the fact that I'm not an easy person to be with. As Andrew has pointed out, I've made a lot of poor decisions in my life. Not all of it because of my own fault, some of it, but going viral at 19 for being on the right wing, getting slandered as a Nazi, a white supremacist, banned from countries. I can't even rent places to this day unless it's from a friend or a friend. I can't get a mortgage. I have federal agents trying to turn me into an asset. Like, these are things most people can't handle. I'm actually dating a lovely conservative guy right now, so I'm healing that part of my life at the moment. We'll see where that goes, but it's not advocating that my life is the perfect model. I'm saying I made a lot of mistakes, and I made a lot of mistakes because I got sucked into the internet and the performance over what reality was. I was more interested in projecting a certain ideology and getting likes and accolades than actually living that and changing my own life. And I think that's the biggest problem with stuff like the Whatever podcast, Andrew, is it's an insult to the intelligence of the audience to pretend it's anything more than clip farming to humiliate these girls for entertainment and money. If you really care about someone, you take them off camera and you talk to them about their soul. You don't ask them, do you identify as a Christian?
One of them couldn't name 3 states last week. Like, you're going to have a long talk with these fucking airheads who don't know anything. They don't know countries. They don't know shit. They don't do anything in school. What are you going to educate them when you take them aside? You're not going to teach them nothing. They're not even going to understand you, just like they don't understand them on the show.
On the internet, you ask them how their journey is off camera. You don't try to clip farm to humiliate them. That's a completely different thing than actually guiding people towards health.
As if that's not a good deterrent. You don't think that people being shown to be an idiot on the internet in front of everybody makes people think, hey, I don't want to look like an idiot in front of everybody on the internet? Like, it should make people who have higher thinking capabilities understand, I don't want to look like that moron, so I'm going to do things a little differently. Like, that's the best way I can put that out there. Does that not make sense? Like, they just act like they're allergic to consequences. That she doesn't want to go on whatever because she knows she's going to get some destiny questions, and they're not going to be fun.
Healthy lives.
But you also, if I may say, before you answer that, Andrew, I just want to say, in your book, you talk about the numerous times you allied with the far right in the UK, and you conclude the British, at least the ones I encountered, had a serious problem that ran deeper than mere alcoholism. It wasn't something I observed from a distance. I felt it, lived it. The closest I've come to defining it since was when I read Trappist monk's Thomas Merton's autobiography. He described England as a vast and complicated charade, a place where most people were already morally dead, asphyxiated by the steam of their own strong yellow tea.
Sorry, Piers.
Wow. Wow. You know the moral of that? Stop hanging out with the far right. Andrew, conclude things for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a self-refuting prescription. It's like, Look, I'm not telling everybody that they should follow me, but there is a serious problem here that's going on that people should be, following along with, so that they note the serious problem. It's like, it's still prescriptive. It's still, you're still trying to make it a society-wide basis. You never really did answer to me who these individuals are who are advocating these things, and how it's not just a straw man position that you completely built up in your head so that you can attack it publicly without ever giving anybody any actually real details about specifically who these people are, what it is that they're actually advocating for, what their positions actually are. It's just one.
Me, Andrew, I'm one of them. It's me. I was one of them.
Yeah, I know.
I went online and I told people how they should get married, how they should live their life, and I hadn't lived it. It's me, and it's the people that were around me.
Like I said, she has an issue with people doing the exact thing she did for decades, like how she made her living, how she's famous. The only reason anyone knows her name, but she wants to stop other people from doing the same thing.
Because I listen to people on the internet.
No, just
yes.
you.
And guess what?
Just
I got very viral and famous the same way Myron Gaines did, the same way Andrew Tate did, because LARPing as an influencer
Those
online
aren't traditionalists.
Right,
Neither
but
of them
they're
are
advocating.
traditionalists.
Do you not say we need? They say.
So her issue is with people who say things she disagrees with, apparently, because this isn't about traditionalists, which is claimed. So it's just anybody who says things she disagrees with. That's the problem. Gotcha.
We need to return to traditional values. We need to return to the 50s. Not for them, of course. Not for them.
No,
they want to live their life how they want to live it.
They're the two people.
Like you did. Like you just admitted you did. You LARPed and pretended like you were a trad wife type person. And then you went out and you had sex, drugs, and rock and roll all the time. So what's your issue with them doing the same shit you did?
People that you just noted, neither one of them are traditionalists by their own admission. Right. And they're promiscuous as hell. They have no religious foundationalism whatsoever. What the hell are you talking about? You're talking about red pillars here, not traditionalists.
Yeah, and then there's trad influencers that are repeatedly coming out and saying, like Bernadine Beauty, that it didn't work for them. I can give you plenty of names, Andrew, but you won't listen, and you just.
What didn't work for them?
The trad life, getting married, having kids, was more complicated than they thought it was, because what people put on the internet, like ballerina farms, that's someone who has a very wealthy husband. So they're able to have 9, 10 kids. They're able to work on a farm all day and take videos for the internet and make breakfast cereal from scratch at 7 a.m. Most people.
Good point. Let's stop her from making content because you don't like it.
Men and women both need to work. They both need to go out there.
I'm going to bring it to an end. Let me ask you, Lauren, just two quick one-word answers. Do you still believe?
Andrew.
Do you still believe in God, Lauren?
I do believe in God, yes.
Do you consider yourself a feminist now?
I don't know what that word means anymore. It means the same thing the alt-right meant in the 2010s. It tends to be a word to shut down discussion.
And what about Donald Trump? Where do you stand with him?
Oh, boy. Well, the Trump admin let me back into America after a 2-year ban, so I appreciate that. But aside from that, I'm not sure. I think the right have lost a whole lot of cultural capital in 1 year with the way that they've been behaving. And I think we're seeing a looting of empire going on right now, and it's death throes.
I'd like to leave with your dealings with Tommy Robinson, who you call a significantly less competent Tony Soprano. I think that's one of the best descriptions I've heard of him, rather better than your categorization of my British countrymen. Thank you very much indeed to both of you. I appreciate it.
Her saying that about Tommy Robinson is probably the reason they made Andrew not bring up the Coomer Gremlin. That's the only reason I did this when I was positive he was going to go on that. And he alluded to it, I guess, so I can't get too mad. But I think they had a deal because I know Andrew would have brought that up normally. But anyway, let's get to the next one. I'm going to start this in the beginning. We'll do this whole one, I think. There.
Into it recently, when I watch some of your tweets, I don't know if you've announced this or not. I don't know if you've joined APAC. I don't know if you are, if you are an advisor for them. Let me read some of these tweets. Muslims aren't the problem. The open borders and motherfuckers and the media attacking nationalism, pushing DEI, transgenderism, and destroying moral values are the problem. August 4th. If you don't put America first as a U.S. politician, you are committing treason. Supporting Israel is bad for America. Netanyahu is a convicted war criminal and Israel is not our ally. We fought way too many wars for Israel and we certainly don't need to give them any more money. July 25th. These idiots have ruined movies. Everything they put out is literally propaganda. And then all of a sudden we got scripture here. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Is this recent, comments you're making about Israel a recent thing, or have you always had these beliefs?
It's more recent. I didn't really realize what a problem it was until recently, and then everybody was scared to say something about it. My brother told me, like, you can't say anything about it. They'll fucking kill you. Like, everybody basically said that I couldn't say anything about it. And actually now they're like literally like trying to like kick me off the board of my company because of those tweets. They're like, shit, yeah, I've definitely had a lot of like negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends, but I don't give a fuck. It's like one of those things where I know that it's the right thing.
Ultimately, I think that's what I like about Dan. He just doesn't give a fuck. And that's the way people need to be now. Stop giving a fuck.
And the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. Like, they provide the U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many things that, would constitute, an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair, I mean, they can go on and on and on and on and on.
Maxwell.
But, I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, right before he died was, make AIPAC a foreign entity, and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, I mean, it's just like, and then you just, I don't know, man, I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold our secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. Me too. And I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's like a negative, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around and telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, look, I'll donate like $100,000 to politicians, and they call me up like, hey, you need anything? Like every week. I don't need shit. I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I'm going
to be honest. I hate reviewing Dan Bilzerian videos because I don't have shit to say. He said everything in my head.
Breaking any laws. I don't need any favors. Like, I just gave it to him because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, Democrats in there. So, but that's 100,000. Like, what does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? And so like, I just know how it works, and the system is broken. Like, these people get into office and they don't have very much money, and they get out of office with fucking tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not a fucking accident, right?
Is that an Israel thing, or is that anybody? Because China's doing the same thing.
China doesn't have they don't have an AIPAC. Like, Israel is the only one that has a fucking like a lobby in the US fucking, giving these politicians money.
And they're about to be part of our military. Watch what our Congress is going to do. You know how many of them go to Hasbara meetings.
Okay, no, every country, the big ones all have lobbyists. They all have lobbying that they're doing.
Not in the U.S. They're registered as foreign entities.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, are you going to the dual citizenship part with Israel, Israel?
That's another problem is a lot of our politicians have far more allegiance to Israel than they do the United States. I mean, that's a whole nother issue as
well. Do you know why they did the dual citizenship? Do you know the history behind why they did the dual citizenship?
Don't care.
What do you mean?
Like, so the whole concept of dual citizenship was because when Israel became a, country again, they didn't want the people from here who wanted to go back to Israel that didn't have a motivation to go if they were going to lose their citizenship here. So that was the reason why they did it. It was kind of like, okay.
Still shouldn't be able to run for a Congress, Senate, or presidency, though, should you? You shouldn't be able to have allegiances to two countries and still be paid to serve one country.
You're your own country. We kind of need some of you guys to move over there to help the country out. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. Why are you not going to go? Am I going to lose my citizenship here? But you are. I mean, we don't do that. Every other country, I don't want to lose my citizenship. Well, okay, how about if we do this? How about if we allow you, just Israel, to go back to your country, you won't lose your citizenship? That was the arrangement at the beginning why they did it that way.
No, look, I get it. I have 3 citizenships. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. I think
the third one. I know Armenia, but what's the
same kids?
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't have an issue with dual citizenship. My issue is when somebody is holding a U.S. office and they are putting a foreign nation's interest before America's interest, and they are favoring that other country. And so that, to me, is treason. Like, when you are a U.S. government official, your motivation should be to do things in the best interest of the government that you are representing, not 100%. Some other fucking foreign country. And that's the problem.
Okay, so, but go through it. So what is the solution? Meaning, if Israel's the enemy, then if let's just say you don't do anything and everybody in the Middle East unites to take out Israel, do you think the Middle East is better without Israel? And do you think the world's a safer place without Israel?
100%. It's not even close.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you think?
Give me an argument.
How many wars would we have stayed out of if they weren't there? How many wars would we have saved all that money we wasted in Iraq, Afghanistan, now Iran, Libya? How much money would we have saved? How much better would our country be if we had that money to pay for infrastructure, to pay for education, to pay for better schools, to pay for anything here? How much better would our country be?
Otherwise, please, but give me one argument why the world would be better off with Israel. Let's just start with that. One thing. Give me one thing.
Have you ever lived in the Middle East?
No.
I lived there for 10 and a half years. It's a very, it's not as like here. You can sit here, you can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic, I can be a Christian, you can be a Jew, you can be an LDS, Muslim.
Yeah, you can be all those in Israel if you want to get spit on every day.
No problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. Everybody's not living equally.
Not at the level of Iran. Not at the level of what Iran is.
No, Iran does not have laws that say you can be murdered for this crime, but if you're from our persuasion, you can't be murdered for that crime. That's very, very different, and Iran doesn't do that.
Let's do one. I mean, in Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money Khamenei's families made? Do you know how much money they've taken? They have 200.
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai. I've been to Saudi. Like I've been to UAE. So like, and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating.
Yeah, go to Dubai.
I would say Iran's slightly different than. But go back to it. So okay, so you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terrorist attacks.
Do you think the people of Gaza would think it would be a better place if Israel wasn't around? I think they'd be much happier.
They're stealing land right now. They're operating in apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians. Like, do you believe in the genocide they're committing?
I think they're.
This is like he's just trying not to see it. One country in the Middle East fights with every country around them. Yeah, I think it would be a safer and more comfortable place if that country that couldn't get along with any of its neighbors wasn't around. I definitely feel that way.
Fighting for themselves and they're defending themselves.
Do you think that's defense?
Well,
when 1,200 people died, and of which the 1,200 you've killed, and admittedly you've killed a lot during your Hannibal.
I will tell you this. The part I question where people who are Jewish can't stand when I say this, I don't know how you, Netanyahu, claim you have the best intelligence in the world, Mossad, and you didn't know that on October 7th they were attacking.
Tell me about it. They didn't. They wanted it to happen, so they had a reason to take that. Yeah, they wanted a reason to take the land.
I totally get it.
And they killed their own citizens. And they claimed that all these people got raped. That was bullshit. They claimed beheaded babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete. Not only was it a lie, but they committed all those atrocities themselves to the Palestinians and been caught doing it. In fact, they just got caught gang raping Palestinians. How many babies have they killed? All the things that they.
And they let dogs do that to them too. That was also part of that.
Accused the Palestinians of, or Hamas of, or whatever, they're guilty of 100-fold themselves.
So
and they've been doing that. Like October 7th wasn't the start of this. Like the start of this was Nakba. They've done so many different.
Disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah. So I mean, this is not like it's not like October 7th is like just all of a sudden they just came over and they're unsolicited and just killed people. Like they have been killing Palestinians for years and years, operating two sets of justice. It's like they have the justice for the Palestinians, the justice for the Israelis. And if you read the Talmud, like, if you're not Jewish, you're basically not a human. You're like, like cattle. If a Jew is killed by, somebody that's not Jewish, then it's the death penalty. If a Jew kills somebody that's not a Jew, then you can't kill them. It's not the death penalty. Like they literally like segregate in their Bibles.
They're very protective of themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's a.
Well, it's not the problem isn't that they're protective of themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people, and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have two sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything, right? And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are under 9 years old, Like, if you think those things are okay, then, you know, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like, my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story on what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
What rapes and videos?
But stay on this here if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when you're saying Israel's doing it, you're saying the other side isn't doing anything.
No, but I'm asking. No. There was no rapes during October 7th. They've shown no rapes from October 7th. They showed no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
I'll send you stuff. No. There's plenty of stories. It's not all of them.
The Israeli articles that I saw recently said that there was only 2 babies killed. One was shot by a bullet, and the other one died in a hospital. There was no babies in ovens. There was no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
Okay, so go back to the part when you said they think they're better than you. You believe that Jews think they're
Let's just move past my misinformation.
better than everybody else.
It says it in their Bible.
Okay, but you believe they're better than everybody else. Okay.
I didn't say they're better than everybody else.
They think.
According to their scripture.
Okay, but what if...
And if you look at how they operate...
Patrick doesn't know that they're the chosen people. They've been chosen by God 3,000 years ago.
Right? Like, they literally caught people raping Palestinian prisoners, and there was riots. But the riots weren't because they were raping the prisoners. The riots were because they felt like they had the right to rape the fucking prisoners. That's why they almost had a fucking civil war, because they felt like they had the right to rape these prisoners. They felt like that was okay because they weren't Jewish. So
pretty soon that'll be our military too. It'll be what would be intertwined. Thanks, Congress.
You know, when you have a society that operates like that, you're going to have fucking problems. And they're not the fucking most moral army. That's all fucking bullshit. And, you know, everything that they say, it's just like almost like, listen, when somebody lies to me, like if you lie to me, I'm not probably going to trust you again. You lie to me a second time, I'm definitely not going to trust you. You lie to me a third time, and I let you lie to me the third time, I'm the fucking idiot. These motherfuckers have lied like 10,000 times. So, like, I don't believe anything they say anymore.
I come from a place of, I don't sit here expecting you to tell me 100% the truth. I don't sit here thinking, yeah, Dan's going to tell me.
I don't sit here expecting you to tell me the truth. So I'm anticipating lies when I deal with Israel. That's what you need to do? That's good. Good policy.
100% the truth with whatever he has in his life. I don't expect that from you because I don't expect people to walk on water. That's not my expectation. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live it with my life, but
I expect people to lie to me about having nuclear missiles. I expect that.
You can't think that China's going to tell us the truth, or Iran tells us the truth, or U.S. tells everybody the truth, or you think any country is going to tell us 100% the truth. But
then why would you be allies with them? Why would you go fight wars for them? Why would you send them billions of dollars every year? Why would you do all these things? I almost said Pierce.
I don't know, man. I got a different moral code. Like in gambling,
it's not about
but in gambling,
that's bad when I start like thinking of you along the lines of Pierce Morgan. Patrick Bet David now is a Pierce Morgan.
In business, like with my friend group, like you lie one time, you welch on a debt, you do one thing.
Yeah. Friendship though.
I'm just saying, my friends, people that I know, people that I do business with, people I gamble with, like
it's the same thing I have as well. It's the same thing most people have. There's a difference between on the personal side than on the countryside. So you're America first. Is it fair to say you're America first? Okay. How do you feel about the protesting and the rioting going on in schools, academia, Harvard, Columbia, when you've seen all the stuff that's going on, Free Palestine, Gays for Gaza, when you see that, what do you think about it? Does it do anything to you, or you're like, let me support them?
I mean, I think it's pretty funny that it wasn't a problem until it was against Israel. It wasn't a problem with BLM. It was fucking encouraged with BLM. It was
always a problem with
bullshit. BLM. They fucking encouraged it. They let them burn down police stations.
The vice president fucking bailed them out of jail. What are you talking about?
There was no repercussions.
I'm not talking me.
No, I'm talking about our government, our media encouraged that shit. Right? They encouraged it when it was BLM. Like, they literally burnt down police stations and it was fine. The mayor came out and was like, no problem, no arrests, no big deal. We don't give a fuck.
Right.
Mostly peaceful.
Take down statues, destroy buildings, burn cop cars, do whatever you want to do. But the moment it was Israel, now all of a sudden,
why do you think
students get the shit beat out of them? They get arrested, they get pepper sprayed, they get fucking maced. And those are peaceful protests. BLM was not peaceful. But it was fine because it wasn't criticizing Israel. What does that tell you?
Let me ask you a question.
Well, we'll answer that. What does that tell you? Who's in charge here?
But you're talking to a guy that I'm not sitting here saying what BLM. I'm talking to you like you and I. I'm not talking to you with $2-3 billion of damage they did to small business owners in communities that African Americans are living in. And who controls mainstream media? And then there's only 2 outlets right now. We're talking to a couple of your friends here that were during lunchtime. We're having a conversation while we're having dinner with who controls mainstream media? The left. The only one that's on the right is one. Okay, and that's also going to the left. Who controls CNN, CBS, ABC? That's left. Who controls universities? Left. Who controls schools?
It's like 90s of the.
And he's still not getting it. They're all Zionists, though. They're all Zionists.
Percent
left versus right.
So, I mean, we could say the left, but it's Jewish if we're being honest.
There you go.
Not necessarily, because even right now, if you think about it, if you think about the right and the left, okay, who's taking the biggest hit with losing Jewish voters? Because most Jews vote left. They're not voting on the right.
Jewish vote is irrelevant. They're like 2% of the population.
But the money that they vote with their money.
I mean, yeah, but like at the end of the day, I think how much money goes into these campaigns isn't going to dictate as much as you have a president that's like potentially getting assassinated. Like those are the drivers. I mean, Kamala Harris is a drunken school teacher. Like she can't even like formulate a coherent sentence. I mean, I don't know. The idea of voting for her just seems crazy. My biggest criticism of Trump is his support of Israel. I mean, aside from that, I mean,
why do you think he's supporting Israel?
Because of money. That's why they all fucking support Israel. Money.
Well, you said it's not about money a minute ago.
Well, he wants money. I mean, these politicians are right. I mean, there's 2 reasons to run for president.
Right.
Because you're a good person and you want to do good.
Okay.
Or because you want fucking money.
Sure.
And fame. That's it. It's the only reason somebody would join president.
A good person.
Or you want money and fame.
And fame.
That's it.
2 reasons why you run.
Why else would you
Why
run
do you think
president?
Trump's reason is?
Money and fame.
You think he wants money and fame?
100%.
You think Trump's running because he wants money and fame?
100%.
He has money. He is famous.
He wants people to love him. He wants attention. I mean, he was doing like reality shows for Christ's sakes. Like he wants more money.
I totally get it. But you think he is more, he is, how much you think it matters for Trump to be liked?
I think he wants people to like him.
Okay. Yeah. So if that's the case, he should have never ran, because ever since he ran, people don't like him.
I get it. Well, I mean, but the fame is like that. I mean, fame is polarizing. Like, there's very few people that become famous that don't have people hate them. I mean, it comes with the territory. Like, if you want to be loved, you're going to be hated as well. It's just, that's the way it is.
In 2014, he could have been invited to Beyonce and Jay-Z's party in 2014. In 2014, he would have been invited to
the Freak-Offs. He could have gone to the Freak-Offs. Wouldn't that have been great?
With NAACP in 20, he went to everything.
So one thing to be invited to parties, another thing to have international status and legacy, and I mean.
So the reason why I brought the money side with Jews. So who do you think the recent event with October?
There's been 47 presidents, but there'll only be one Antichrist.
7 hurt more, the left or the right, politically?
October 7th? What do you mean?
Israel, Hamas, like this whole back and forth. Which political party you think has lost more? Taking a bigger hit with their position they've taken with the Jews?
I mean, they're both pro-Israel. So I don't think it's a left against the right when it comes to Israel. And that's like what people think is like, but it's just a distraction. Like they're both pro-Israel. They're both, I mean, fucking Biden's giving Israel shitloads of money. Like, what do you mean? Trump's going to give shitloads of money. Trump's going to fucking go to war.
There hasn't been a non-Zionist president since Kennedy. And I think that's because they all learned their lesson from Kennedy.
War with Iran, what are you talking about? They're both fucking.
You think Trump's going to go to war with Iran?
He said he's going to.
No, it's his way of saying to not go to war.
He puts he's going to.
The same way he said with everybody else that he was going to push them. Or more didn't happen. He said.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he said that he was going to.
So now let me ask you. So who would you vote for today? It doesn't sound like you're voting for anybody.
I mean, if I had to choose between those two, Trump for sure. I don't even think it's close. I mean, Kamala's half a fucking retard. And she pushes.
That's an easy question. They're both Zionists, so they're going to do the same Zionist shit. But one of them is at least going to let me be able to get on the internet and not be censored in that way. And they probably would have both done the anti-Semitism censoring. They're both Zionists, so what's it matter?
All this woke left ideology is just nonsense. Like, I mean, she's a fucking complete moron. Not that Trump is like a super genius either, but like light years past her. I mean,
and she's a woman. Who's going to vote for a fucking woman?
I mean, she was like one of the most hated people. Like how she even got the fucking nomination is beyond me. Like how they didn't give it a big mic is crazy. Like
you ever heard of? You're so funny. You ever heard of eugenics?
Eugenics?
Eugenics. Eugenics. You ever heard of that?
What's that?
Okay. You ever seen MIT stats showing that Ashkenazi Jews' IQ is the highest IQ
about
in
a
the
year
world?
old.
You ever heard about that or not?
I believe it. It's up there. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the IQ studies. Yeah.
What do you think about that? The fact that they have a higher IQ. How do you process that information?
What do you mean?
You have a pretty high IQ,
We have to be more careful. That's what that means.
right?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what the score is. I've seen some. What's this? I've read it multiple different places. What's the score you've got?
I don't know. I mean, I was in the 99th percentile when I was in 8th grade and got accepted to Duke on a scholarship. I mean, I've tested okay. I'm a smart guy.
Okay,
I get
so
it,
but do you think the part about like, okay, I'm a Syrian and I'm Armenian, and then I'm born in Iran and I'm in living in America. Armenians, try bring them together. It's tough. They're divided. Assyrian.
I don't know about that. Go to Glendale, buddy.
No, I lived in Glendale for 6
What do you mean? They're pretty. I mean,
You're
every
kidding.
Armenian that I ever meet is like, bro, you're Armenian. It's like I've seen
The pride was right.
Yeah, I've
pride
seen
is
more
there.
Armenian pride than any other.
Yeah, but you're talking, these guys are coming to you. You have different types of Armenians, right? And even right now in Armenia with what they're going through with, Pashinyan and some of the political stuff. You were there in 2018 with your brother and your dad when you guys went there and got your citizenship. But Assyrians, they're divided. It's the older, the church, the club, the this, the that. You can't unite these guys together, right? The closest thing I'll say with Jews, the level of unity that they have is Muslims and Mormons. Mormons are super united. Muslims are super united. And Jews are super united. That's one part that they have the edge. But then if you look at their IQ, and if somebody's IQ is higher, they're generally going to make better decisions in business, if that is correct, right? If IQ is correct.
So you think that the
Asians have higher IQs. Why don't they head us to go fight all their wars since we're just the stupid Americans who listen to these geniuses?
that 6 out of the 10 richest people in America are Jewish? I think it's just IQ related.
You think they started off with money when they started creating their wealth?
They get interest-free loans from other Jews. What are you talking about?
I think if you look at college admissions and you look at how many Jews get admitted versus how many whites, they lump themselves in, in a separate category. And 75% of college, what is it? 75% is Jewish.
Of what? Admissions?
I
don't know the exact
college executive. What Ivy League?
The number I have is, in the world, there's 267 Jewish billionaires. That's 10% of all the billionaires, while they're only 0.2% of the world, right? So that's a 5% overrepresentation in America.
Wait, you're saying they're 2%? They're not 2% of the world. They're 0.02. If
that's why I said 0.2.
No, they're not. I think it's 0.02.
If you do 9 billion, they have roughly 15 million people.
Okay.
So 0.2% of 8 billion is like 16 million, and that's what they have.
Okay.
0.2%,
not 2%.
No, we're saying the same thing.
We're
saying the same thing. So in US, 132 Jewish billionaires out of 756. 17% of billionaires in America are Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Did that happen accidental? Is that because they work together? Is that a bad thing? Is that something?
It's like he's just now figuring out that a lot of the elites that we're talking about, who are always getting into our shit and ruining things for us normal people and making laws that only apply to us and not to them, he's just now realizing a lot of them are Jewish.
Where, it's kind of like saying, when Tom Brady was playing in the NFL, the guy was freaking hated. It's like, oh, Deflategate or this, or they did this, or they did that.
I don't care that like 90% of sports are black or whatever the fucking statistic is. I don't give a shit if Jews have all the money. I really don't care. I don't care if they run Hollywood. Like, my issue is like,
I care, but that's because I want a good movie again. I haven't seen a funny movie since Tropic Thunder.
Culpability with the people that are pushing these fucking bullshit narratives. The media is mostly Jewish, and the media is pushing this fucking DEI.
Yeah.
They're pushing this trans bullshit. They're pushing they push the COVID fucking shit. Right.
Which proves that the brainwashing is even more important than the money. They will go out, they will lose money on $1 billion movie just to sink that brainwashing in.
Right. So All I'm saying is I want you to be responsible for what you're in charge of. I don't care if it's the purple people in charge of the banks. I don't care if it's the fucking green people in charge of the fucking media. No, but dude, hear me out. I don't care who the fuck it is. I'm saying if the media is the green people and they're pushing COVID and they're pushing DEI, they're pushing transgenderism and they're pushing racism and they're pushing division and they're pushing a degradation of fucking moral fiber, I'm mad at the green people, right? You see what I'm saying? I don't give a shit who it is. I'm saying who is in charge should have some responsibility.
I see it in a different way. Here's how I see it. So I see it as, so, you know, when I'm coming up, I have my friends, well, you know, I'm in the insurance game and I'm making $100,000 a year and they would say, oh my God, look at those guys. All they care about is this and they help each other out, these different insurance companies. I'm like, yeah, how about we figure out a way to do the same? No, but they have this. And it was almost like a little bit of from a place of victimhood. Like, you know, look what they're doing. I'm like, okay, let me continue. So I grow that, I get to the next level. I'm making a little bit more money and now I'm in different meetings. So go at every level, Dan, my experience, I may be wrong and challenge me as much as you want and say, rip it apart, the argument that I have. Okay. So while you're making six figures, you're in a room with 50 other guys making six figures, right? You know which guy that's at six figures that's going to go to $250,000, and you know which guy's going to get stuck at 100,000, and you know which guy's going to go down because he got lucky. Maybe he landed a big insurance sale that paid him $60,000. You could filter those guys out. You go to $250,000, you saw the same thing. You knew who's going to go next level, who's going to stay, who's going to go down. $1 million, 10 million, 50 million, what at every, even $1 billion on who's going to go. Like, you know, Elon's probably not going to slow down. But between Elon and Bezos, guess who's probably going to slow down if you chose those two? You may say Bezos. They're both worth a couple $100 billion. They have more money than many countries have. But at every level, eventually somebody stops, right? And some continue at every level. This is in basketball, sports, poker, you name it. I had a big $1 million thing. I'm happy I walk away.
Is this a tangent or something? What is he fucking talking about? I don't even understand where he's going.
To me, the part of it that I see when I'm talking within my community, I'm a guy that in my house, I have a 15-foot painting in my house. When you come to Florida, if you ever do, I'll show it to you. In the middle of it, you know who it is? The Shabiran is right in the middle of it. Guess who was the biggest against the Jewish Zion media empire? Guess who was the biggest person that called him out? Him. And what happened to him in 1979? You know what they did to him? They got rid of him in a different way. So you're not talking to a guy that is Jewish or pro this or pro that. For me, I want to see what caused them to go from where they were at to having the kind of wealth that I have today. Can that skill set be transferred to others? The part that you want,
I would love to see Patrick bet David's house. I bet he's got gold toilets too. I almost bet you he does.
I can criticize is what they do with all the power that they have today. We can criticize that all day long. You know, they run media, they run CNN, they do this, and they all tell everybody, you better say this, or you better say that. The Soros, the Bond, you know, Brofman, all these guys. You can criticize that all day because now you have the power. What do you do with the power? But my interest is, what caused them to get all this money? It's not like one day they woke up, they found something, and the next thing you know, they're doing this. How did they get all this power and this money that they made? Was that pure luck? Was that accidental?
I mean, depends on what field you're talking about. I mean, I think when you kind of stick together and when you know, BlackRock, their execs are 100% Jewish. So when you only hire Jewish people and you give them preferential treatment, I think it's natural for.
I hope he goes on to Hollywood too. Hollywood, who tried to jam diversity down our throats. All their executives are Jewish. All of them. They have none of that shit. That's just for us fucking goyim. That's not for them. No.
You know, your race, religion, whatever, to have a higher, you know, success rate when you're banded together and everybody else is divided. And, you know, it seems like America just gets more and more divided by the day. And what would make it easier to conquer a country than to divide it? It's a lot easier, you know, that's why they say divide and conquer, right? So in order,
that's how they're taking over our military.
To rule a country as a small class, you want the country divided. What's happened in the last 4 years? Our country's more divided than it's ever been. It's more racist, it's more divided, it's more fucking angry. Everybody's fucking pulling each other apart. And, you know, and the same playbook is happening in the UK. So I look at what is going on in the world and I don't think it is a positive thing. And so that is where, you know, I get upset is because.
But the question is, how did they get the power? How do you think they got their power? Because this didn't happen, you know, just, 70 years ago, they didn't have a country, whatever the timeline is when they got it, right?
Bribes were cheaper in the 60s.
How did they all of a sudden go from what happens in Germany, then they get their country, then they're able to move up politically, then they're able to move up in media, then they're able to move up in all these different places with finance and Wall Street? What did they do right? How did they get all this power? They have a lot of power. How did they do it?
I mean, look, I haven't studied Jewish power struggles or how they made their money or anything like that. That's not really,
But you know what I'm asking?
I do. And I don't really have
I watched a few videos on the Rothschild struggle.
a direct answer for it because I haven't studied it, so I'm not going to guess. But, I just look at this whole thing of, they're obviously doing really fucking well. I don't know why it's constantly like a victim card thing.
You think it's worth studying? You think it's worth studying to see what they did?
Yeah.
I remember one time I'm in LA, I'm with this guy named David. He owned a dealership, Jewish guy. First time in my life I saw $1 million cash. I'd never seen it before. I just come out of the army. I'm like, hey, how the hell do you guys, Jews? I grew up in Iran, so we have a lot of Persian Jews. How do you guys always make so much money? And he said the most fascinating thing. He said, when one of us makes money, 5 of us makes money. I'm like, what does that mean? We always do business together. We always go into deals together. We're always finding ways to do business together.
We always cover for each other. We always get the president to hide files when we get in trouble. Yeah.
Do you know from that moment when I was 21 years old, when I started my insurance company at 30 years old, you know why was one of the reasons we never lost the vice president of the company? And I'm in Vegas right now because I got a convention at MGM for this week with 10,000 people there. We give our guys equity. So our guys own the company. So it wasn't like it's my commission. That idea of equity came from that Jewish, dealership guy I met at 21 years old.
Listen, I get it. I mean, good for them. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if they help each other out and whatever, they band together. My issue is when they fucking put their country ahead of our country when they're living in our country and they're politicians in our country. And I care when our country is hurt to help their country. That's what I fucking care about. I don't give a shit if they band together. I don't care if they give each other special treatment, whatever. I mean, I'd like to stop hearing about the fucking victim card bullshit every time I fucking turn around because they're not victims.
I am so tired of hearing about shit that happened in World War II as a justification for shit that's going on today. We make fun of the black people for saying, yeah, I want reparations for some shit that happened that long ago, but we still do it for the Jewish people for some reason.
They're crushing in every fucking category. And, and they constantly refer to the Holocaust when they're the biggest Holocaust deniers on the fucking planet. They deny the Armenian Holocaust, which, half of my people got wiped out, half of your people got wiped out. They deny that. So I don't think it's right for them to whine about the Holocaust and force feed every single fucking children, all the fucking children and students, this fucking Holocaust narrative and hijack the entire fucking World War II and make it about the fucking Jews. When 85 million people fucking died during World War II, was it all about the fucking Jews? But they make every movie about the fucking struggling Jews and how they had to fucking endure all this stuff. And yet, they can't recognize the Armenian Holocaust. We lost half our population. They didn't lose half their population, but yet we have to hear about it every fucking movie, every classroom, every museum, nonstop on every show.
Well, why though?
Why?
Because the people who own the studios are they are that. Like, why would, oh my God, he can't see it.
Why do they play the victim card so much?
So let me ask you, who made the movie about Armenian genocide?
I don't know who made it.
Did you ever watch the movie with Christian Bale?
1917?
No, not 1917. The recent one with Christian Bale. I think it's called
Batman. It was Batman. He's talking about Batman. Who gives a fuck what movie?
Called, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. You'd love the movie. But it's called Belief or hang on, Courage.
Oh my God, boomer.
Armenian genocide movie. What's it called? The Promise. Have you seen it?
Would you like for me to go program the clock on your VCR?
It's ridiculous. I'll send it to you afterwards for you to watch. But The Promise. Do you know who made The Promise?
I don't.
The owner of MGM, Kerkorian. Okay, he made The Promise with Christian Bale. He put $100 million into it. The budget was $90 million. They made $12.4 million. Is what the movie did. But it's actually a very good movie. It's worth watching. But the point I'm making there is,
we're doing a book club in the middle of this debate. Okay.
An Armenian created $9 billion of wealth for himself that he could use the money to make the story, to tell the story of what really happened with the Armenian genocide.
I think you're missing the point. It's not about what they do in Hollywood with their money. It's about the fact that the government puts this in the school systems.
But why do they put it in the school systems?
Because they're controlling our fucking government.
Yeah, but why did they brainwash us? Why?
Why do they control our government?
I don't know, because they assassinate presidents. They assassinated JFK because they have a Mossad operation in fucking Epstein Island. They get blackmailing our politicians. They give hundreds of millions of dollars via APAC. That's why they fucking control the country.
His brother.
Yeah, but that's you asked the question. That's why they control the country.
But the point is.
But is that right? Like,
I'm saying it's
just because they control it doesn't mean that it's like a pat back because they're doing it through fucking illegal means.
So, brother, I'm a business guy. So are you. I'm looking for solutions. What is the solution? What's your solution?
The solution for what?
To this challenge here that they're able to make all these movies, tell the stories, put in the schools, put in all this stuff.
That's not my issue. My issue is our support of Israel, and my issue is like Israel's control over our government. That's my problem. It's not these fucking movies. That's like proliferate shit. My issue is that Israel's controlling our government. They have Mossad operations to get dirt on our politicians. They're fucking bribing our politicians. That's my problem. Okay, and they're doing it to the U.S.'s detriment. And they're going to drag us into one more fucking war where we have U.S. citizens dying for fucking Israel. Yeah. As a veteran,
this is back when they just thought he was going to drag us into one war. We're looking at Turkey next.
You should not want to fucking see that.
Not for
Iraq was a fucking joke, and we did that because that dumb fucking Netanyahu got in front of Congress, lied out of his ass, and said there's weapons of mass destruction when everybody fucking knew there was.
We said it as well, bro.
No.
We said
came from him.
No, it's not about it. Didn't come from him. It could have come from him, but we did it as well.
He testified in front of Congress.
I remember that
there was weapons of mass destruction. And it was complete fucking bullshit.
But we said it as well. But again, for me,
did we go to their Congress to say it? No, we just said it here. So him coming here is a bigger deal, right?
Only thing I'm interested in, everything you're saying, I don't disagree with the things that you're saying. For me, it's what's the solution? Because they're gonna continue making money. BlackRock's not going to slow down tomorrow because we're doing this podcast and all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, Dan Bilzerian, you make sense. Guess what? We're going to stop pushing our agenda
so much. For BlackRock, that's for the people, man. BlackRock ain't going to change. They're going to operate in their own self-interest. They're going to push this fucking DEI bullshit. They're going to force all the companies that they fund.
The surveillance state now. I don't know if that was big back then, but it's getting big now.
To push DEI bullshit. The only thing that the people can do is fucking push back. Start boycotting this stuff. Stop fucking supporting it. And, you ask like what the solution is. I mean, why is Israel even an ally? I mean, why would they shot down
Better question. How are they our ally? What do we get besides information that's always wrong? Like, thanks. We have better than that. We just don't have information that's better than wrong information.
Civilian plane. Did we just say that's fine? But when Russia did it,
you mean a ship? The
no, they shot down a commercial airliner that flew over their airspace that had civilians in it. When Russia did that, that was an act of war. Why is there a double standard?
Why do you think?
Because they control our fucking government. I said it.
I'll give you a better one. What if Iran came here and blew up an all-girls school? Would y'all call that terrorism? Because it's not terrorism somehow when we do it. See how that works?
But again,
why do you think?
Well, I mean, if you want to find out like what the first thing would happen for this to be stopped, again, solution oriented. If we say what's the first thing, you know what the first thing is. If we stop lobbying, half the shit stops. If the concept of lobbying stops, we had Paul Manafort on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know if you know who Paul Manafort is. Is it Paul Manafort? Anyways, we had one of the bigger lobbyists on the podcast. Him and Roger Stone started their company many, many years ago. And I said, so what do you think about lobbying? I said, do you think it's a good thing? Or do you think...
I think it encourages corruption, is what I think.
I fully agree. But you know what?
If they stopped lobbying, half of our Congress would start an OnlyFans. Because whoring is always going to be whoring.
He said the other side's doing it, so we're going to do it. So if today lobbying stopped, these guys wouldn't have the kind of power that they have today.
The whole system's broken. That's the problem. Broken, and government just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and... yeah, I mean, listen, this country was founded because we didn't want to pay 1% fucking tax on tea. Don't forget that.
We were willing to fight for 1%. That, and now
1% tax on tea. That's why we have this fucking country. Come a long way from there.
And now I have to pay for memory just to get my phone to work.
What's your point?
My point is that, we should fucking stop putting up with this bullshit, and there should be fucking changes made. Like, Like, our politicians are not running our country. We think that they are. They're just not. And
You think it's ever going to change? You think the format's going to change?
I think that when we have our economic crash, that might be a catalyst. I think people are lazy, and I think they're pussies, and I don't think they're going to do jack shit until their way of life is threatened. And I think people will do something. That's what I think. But I think it'll take an economic collapse for anybody to do anything.
Unfortunately, I kind of think he's right on that.
The government's not going to.
People are going to just live in ignorance until, like, my debate last night kind of shows me a lot of people just want to keep taking those blue pills and act like everything's fine. So until things get really bad, you're not going to wake them up out of that little coma of those blue pills.
Initiate it, that's for sure.
Well, don't you think an economic collapse would actually benefit them? Would actually benefit the people of power to be able to give more free things during that time for where people are willing to give up even more?
They can inflate, and they will. They'll
Right.
print more fucking money. But that, can't go on forever. This like fairy tale of just like printing and printing money, like that doesn't work. I mean, like, let me ask you this. Why do you think the quality of life now is lower than it was 50 years ago when we have all this technological innovation? We've got the ability to produce things for a lot cheaper cost. We've got the ability to mass scale. Why do you think our quality, like, where's all the money getting sucked out of? Like, where's all the money?
Because all the brainwashing made everyone crazy, and now we're further away from everybody, even though this technology was supposed to bring us closer together. I never felt further away from my fellow Americans. I feel like I don't even leave my house most of the time because I feel like everybody outside those doors is a retard.
Money going.
If you go on 50 years, you're talking 74.
No.
So are you talking technically? You want a technical answer, or you want just a?
I'm saying, where'd the money go? Well, how did all that money get sucked onto the economy so that we are having a shittier average quality of life than we were 50 years ago?
Well, if you're talking technically in 1972, when Nixon took U.S. off the gold standard, shit changed because America can print as much money as they want. You couldn't when it was based off the gold standard. So the recklessness started after 72. So if you're talking that's that part. Because now we can just do what? Hey, you know what? What do we need to pay off? Print another $1 trillion. Print another $4 trillion. Print another.
Cool. Sounds like an easy fix. Put us back on the gold standard then, if that's the fix.
It's okay.
Exactly.
And by the way, just so you know, the more money they print, guess who makes the money? You know what the money goes up to? The people that have businesses.
Yeah. I mean,
but if you're asking the technical question, that's where the wild, wild west started, where typically it's like, okay, hey, Dan,
Technically, the wild, wild west started in the West.
can I get $100,000? Yeah, here's collateral. Okay, cool. I got it. $120,000 watch, shit hits the fan. I can sell this, no problem. This was gold. What's collateral now? I got you, bro. You're good.
I get it.
I'm USA. I got you. It's the fiat currency.
But why did we start the Fed? Why did we start the tax? Why did we get off the gold standard?
Yeah. I'm with all of it. But I'm curious what you think, because you got a spot on your face.
I've already told you what I think's the problem. I've said it numerous times. I mean, our government is not being fucking controlled by the people who say they're controlling it.
Exactly.
You seem very optimistic.
I'm not. I'm actually not very optimistic about it. Like I said, I think it's going to take an economic collapse for anything to change.
You ever read the book Fourth Turning?
No.
Yeah, the guy talks about
It's a Tim Pool book.
how U.S. goes through 4 turnings every 20 years. Things change every 20 years. I had him on the podcast 2 months ago, something like that. Neil Howe is his name. And by the way, he wrote this book in 97 with a guy named William Strauss, if I'm not mistaken. And, they said, well, here's what happened for this 20 years. Here's what happened here. They made 5 predictions. One of them was Russia's going to invade a neighboring country, which they did. 2, they said market crash. 3, they said there's going to be a big pandemic. 4, they said something about the Tea Party. And 5, they said in 1997, they said civil war. There could be a possibility of a civil war where the 2 sides can no longer get along and understand each other, where that's going to be the collapse. Not a market correction, a flat out civil war, where you're going to sit across another guy like, dude, we're never going to agree on what you're saying here. We're living in 2 different countries here. You're in a la-la land. That was the prediction they made. And they said the civil war is going to be taking place somewhere between 2008 and 2028. And they wrote this in 97.
That's crazy.
Did they say it was going to be over Zionism? Probably not.
Didn't it? In 97. And we're kind of living in it today because, the last 4 years expose a lot. But for me, the level of optimism comes in moments where you feel like you no longer have control. This is for me. Again, not for you. I'm talking to you for myself. This is when faith plays a role to bring optimism. This is when you go back and think about with Hitler, where there was a guy named Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I don't know if you know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer is. This guy was the guy that, the way Hitler was able to get what he did to Germany, he went after churches. And he feared, if you believe in God, that's the only thing he can't beat. Same thing with Russia. What's the first thing Lenin and Stalin did? It's materialism. God doesn't exist. The more you eliminate faith in people, the more I can control you. You ever seen the movie Book of Eli with Denzel?
Yeah.
Remember when he says, this one book, if I get this one book, I can control the people. I can control the people. And Denzel didn't want to give the book to the other guy because he wanted to do bad things with it rather than doing good things with it. No, man, I think hope and faith is a very valuable quality that the enemy fears.
Well, I mean, there's a full-on attack on Christianity right now, and it's being, waged by the media. Did you watch the Olympics?
Of course.
It's fucking utter blasphemy. Like, it's just acceptable. Like, it's acceptable to.
Why does it bother you though?
Why does it bother me?
Because you're not a Christian, but why does it bother you?
Because it is fucking an unnecessary attack on a large majority of the world's faith for no fucking reason. Who benefits from that? Like, why is this transgender stuff just being shoved down your throat every time you fucking turn on TV? Why are we having men and women's sports? Like, it's nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense. People are too scared to say anything about it.
I think people are louder today.
They're getting louder.
Yeah, because of one guy.
We're getting there.
One guy gave a platform for people to be louder. If he didn't buy Twitter in 2022, America's a very different America today.
Yeah.
Very different America today. And this goes back to the argument I was making to you, which for me, the argument is, I'm not surprised that Jews are making movies to say they're great. The first Titanic that was ever made was made and directed by Hitler. Do you know who the hero was in the first Titanic? A Nazi soldier. That's his job. His job is to convince us Nazis are good people. And then you watch.
Do you think Nazis are bad people?
Do you think movies today aren't doing the same thing? I just played a video Friday was about how the CIA has gotten into our media and shit. Like they actually have Hollywood divisions where they just go and insert propaganda into movies about positive for the CIA, positive for America, whatever they're wanting to push. Zionism, great. That's always one of them. It's that way now.
I think depends who you ask. You ask a German, you ask somebody that was part of, that's their representation, that's their country. You think CIA is good to people in Iran? They hate the CIA.
I think the CIA is a terrorist organization. And I think that, ever since I was a little kid, I knew that Nazis were not the bad people. They were people that were born in fucking Germany that joined that army. Just like people in America joined the fucking American army. This whole idea of a boogeyman of all the fucking people born in Germany are just all of a sudden homicidal killers and they're all really bad. It's just fucking nonsense. The idea that all Muslims are terrorists is just fucking bullshit. But that's what Hollywood keeps fucking pumping out there is every fucking bad guy in these movies are always these fucking jihadi terrorists, they're always the fucking bad guy. They're not. They're a fucking quarter of the globe. A quarter of the globe is Muslim. They're not all fucking bad guys. They're not all terrorists. They're actually a pretty peaceful religion. But I don't like this propaganda being shoved down your fucking throat all the time.
So you think, okay. So you said earlier, did you watch the Olympics opening? Great. Who do you think did it? Okay. Are you alluding to the fact that Jews were the ones that are funding the Olympics, the commercials? So because of that, they made fun of Christians. Is that kind of where you're going? Or no, you're just saying they're mocking Christianity, period.
Yeah, I don't know who's.
Okay, I got you. I thought you were going there. No, but to me, okay.
I just don't think on a worldwide stage, mocking.
I think Patrick expects every argument to be about Israel in some way or another. Like, you could complain about other things too.
A religion is acceptable.
I fully agree.
Like
with you.
it's atrocious,
I
and
fully
especially
agree.
like this injection of gay shit, which is just like, why? Why does everything have to be gay? Why do transgender people have to fucking read stories to children? Why do you have to have gay books talking about gay sex acts for 9-year-olds? Like, when I was 9, they didn't tell us about sex at all. You weren't in fucking puberty. Like, why do you have to learn about like homosexual acts when you're 9 years old? Like, it's just nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense.
That's because we let Robert Maxwell be in charge of our curriculum in our schools. So it does kind of come back to Israel, I guess.
And who's pushing
Since he was a spy for Israel that stole our secrets and gave them to Israel.
that? The fucking media.
So Israel could betray us, of course.
The media is pushing that. The media is saying that that's okay. So I'm not okay with that.
Neither am I. I got 4 kids. Trust me.
Yeah.
I lived in LA 24 years. I lived in Dallas 5 years. I'm in Florida because of that. So in Florida, vaccines. We were talking about vaccines earlier, you and I, about, whether you took the vaccine or not, conversation you and I were having. But, even in Texas, if you want to use religious exemption for your kids to not take the vaccine, even if they go to Christian school, you still have to have your kids take it and show the card. You know what it is in Florida?
What's that?
You just say it. And they're like, okay, no problem. No questions.
There shouldn't be any requirement anyways. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, you announced you're running for office in 2015. It sounds like you're going to run again. I mean, you're
Guess you want to talk about that.
You're very firm in some of the convictions you're having. And what's interesting about it is you're going through now. So I don't know, are you a guy that reads a lot, or no? Are you a big reader? Do you read a lot of books?
I read a little bit, not a ton. I mean,
is the interest there for you to go deeper and deeper on this topic, or is it surface
I'm
level?
a lot more interested in politics in general. I'm watching what's happening in the world, and I think things are accelerating at a very rapid rate, and there's a fucking problem. That's why I did the fucking whole course for guys, because I feel like there's a problem with fucking dating. Guys are doing the wrong thing. They're getting bad results. Half the guys are just quitting on dating. Like, there's some real problems in the world. So
Tell us about the course you're doing.
yeah, that's kind of the premise of it, is guys have bad directions. They're doing the wrong thing and they're getting a bad result because of that. They're quitting. And nobody's really putting out the fucking good result. In fact, they're giving them really bad directions. Like, Hollywood's giving them horrendous directions. And so because of that, people have bad maps. Bad maps don't lead you to the right place. You're better off not to have a map. You go to the fucking...
He's talking about chick flicks. That's what he's talking about, where they just teach you to be a simp. Oh, you cheated on me. Come back. I miss you. Fuck you.
gas station. You ask him, where this and this is, and he tells you if I can go up the road, take a right, and then go 5 miles, take a right, go up the road 3 miles and take a left, and you'll get there. And the place is back this way. You're worse off for having those bad directions. And that's where I think, the state of dating is these guys are much worse off for having these bad directions. And I just kind of want to lay out there the correct approach, because that's what I mean. Look, I dedicated a big part of my life to my sex addiction, right? So I learned a lot, and I learned a lot because I had a big sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I screwed it up with, and a large sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I also slept with. And only in cross comparing that data can you really figure out what is effective and what's not effective. If you have a bunch of girls that don't want to fuck you, you're not going to learn that much from that, because maybe they don't want to fuck you because you're Armenian. Maybe you
learn to be different, I guess.
They don't want to fuck you for this reason or whatever. But when I have a large sample size of girls that for sure want to fuck me, and I know that because they sent me a DM butt naked with their asshole spread saying I want to fuck you. So it's a pretty good indicator.
That's a good sign.
Right. And I screwed it up. So I'm just saying, in cross comparing that data, I was able to figure out what things guys are doing wrong and what things I was doing wrong. And one of the things that I was doing wrong that most guys were doing wrong is I was over communicating interest with the girls that I really liked. I was getting a bad result with the girls that I really liked. And then every other girl that I didn't care about, I was fucking and having a great relationship. They were chasing me. And what it broke down to was the difference between pursuing and being pursued. And when you pursue something, you don't think about its flaws. You think about, how do I get it? Kind of like you're at an auction. You're not thinking about the flaws of this item. You're thinking about the other 5 guys that are fucking bidding on it and the loss that you're going to feel if you don't get it, right? So when you're pursuing something, you think about, how do you get it, right? So most guys are pursuing the girl. And what that does is put the girl in a position of, I know I can have this guy. Do I want him? When you're in that position, it's like when somebody's trying to sell you something, when somebody's trying to pitch you a fucking idea. And I bet you get pitched all the fucking time. You got a lot of money. So sure, you get pitched. When somebody fucking pitches you, the first things that you think about is what's wrong with this fucking deal. But if you want to get involved in a deal, and the fucking round is closing and 9 fucking of your best buddies just got in there, you're gonna be a lot less fucking worried about what's wrong with that fucking deal. You're gonna be more worried about how the fuck do you get in it. You're gonna trust that they did their fucking due diligence, right? The same thing is true with pre-selection with men and women. And there's just a lot of these concepts that guys are just completely fucking unaware of. And so I wanted to lay out a foundation of like the things that they're doing wrong, the things that they should be fucking doing, and an understanding of the psychology of like why these things work, why these things don't work, why this is bad, why small things have a fucking massive downstream negative effect. And, you know, and then the power struggle in relationships. I see a lot of guys in these relationships and they're just constantly making these concessions. And then eventually like these things become expected and not appreciated. The woman has way too much fucking power, doesn't respect the guy, and then ends up cheating on him. And I know because I was the guy that they fucking cheated on with all the time. And I would hear these fucking girls and the story it always started with, he was such a nice guy, but, you know, such a nice guy, but, you know, and then it's like, then she fucking cheats on him. And it always starts like that.
And people ask me, why are you such a dickhead? That's why. That's why.
And I think a lot of guys think that because in business or because with friendships, they put in a lot of this effort and that effort is rewarded with a, you know, promotion or a fucking raise or whatever in jobs. And in friendships, you know, your buddy has your back in a fucking fight, shows up fucking 2 a.m. to help you out. Like you're going to have his back in the future. So positive correlation with this effort. However, in a relationship, that positive correlation, you know, is not fucking there. It's actually a negative correlation. The more effort that you put in before you've had sex with a girl, the more you actually get punished for that. And so this is something that like is not intuitive because in your life experience, it's been the opposite.
And you're starting a bad trend because you're going to have to do that every time you want to get in that pussy. You're going to have to be like in a chick flick.
So that's why a lot of successful guys actually have a lot harder time with these girls. And my broke friends actually get more pussy than my rich friends. And my rich friends actually a lot of times use their money to their detriment instead of to help them because money is a very powerful tool, as you know, with a lot of things in life. And also it can be with women. But most guys implement it incorrectly. So anyway, yeah, that was one of my passion projects. I enjoy helping people. And that was like one of the, you know, things that I've realized was like, I got more enjoyment from helping somebody else out than I did buying myself a Ferrari or whatever the fuck car of the week I wanted to get, you know? And so yeah, I focused the time on that. And while I was doing that, I happened to fucking start noticing these fucking politics. And I got to a point in my life where I feel like I've gotten...
Just before he gets back into the politics, I got to say that is true. Like I used to try that. I would be big expressive like shows of, hey, I want to date you. Give them flowers, shit like that. Who wants to pay for a chariot ride every time you want a blowjob? I'm not doing that. No.
More than I was ever probably fucking deserving of. And so I just am at a place where I just feel like I should fucking do the right thing, whatever the cost. And so that was why I have been going hard on this Israel to my fucking financial and personal detriment. But whatever, man, it's the fucking right thing. So that's what I'm going to do.
I love it. Brother, this has been great. Really enjoyed it. And looking forward to seeing what you do next, man. And by the way, we're going to put the link below to the whole academy you're talking about. Cool. We'll put it below for people to be able to see it. We appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, I enjoyed that. It got into some stuff I wasn't expecting. I didn't know it was going to be a book club from Patric's perspective, but I thought that was a good debate. This last one's really short, and I got to change the speed up, so bear with me for a second. It's really short. It's just Candace, Owens, and Don Lemon. And that's going to go exactly how you think it would go.
Are you homophobic?
There you go. That's how it's going to start. All right, let's see. Change that. Do 130. They're going to be talking a little bit like chipmunks, so sorry about that.
Are you homophobic? No, seriously.
I thought you would say, of course I have gay friends. You're just such an absurd. First off,
my question to you is, because people think that you are you anti-Semitic?
No, I'm not anti-Semitic.
Go on.
Go on with what? You asked me a question, I answered it.
You said
I don't even launch into defense of myself.
Go on, defend yourself. Defend yourself. You just said no. That's not enough.
Because I'm just not anti-Semitic. There's nothing that in here that I need to add. I guess today anti-Semitism, the definition keeps expanding, and now I guess it means if you don't fall over yourself every time Bibi Netanyahu speaks, they're just going to call you an anti-Semite. Nope, I'm a Christian. Kids being bombed is upsetting to me, and I have a right to say that without being called an anti-Semite. And if you want to call me an anti-Semite for it, I simply don't care.
I'm not calling you an anti-Semite. Because people call you that, and I think, look, if you, there's the whole talk about Zionism and anti-Semitism and whatever. I think it's a conversation that you just can't win. But I would like
for you to be able to explain yourself, because
Judaism is not Zionism, and it doesn't matter how many people insist that it is. It's just not. It's a political party, and it puts the interests of Israel above everything else. I grew up with Jewish people. Jewish people are my best friends. This is the nation of Israel is not Judaism. It's a nonsense to suggest that we can critique, as we did earlier, talking about Joe Biden, that we can critique our own president and nobody cares, because we should. You should be able to hold leaders and their decisions and their feet to the fire. And then to say that if you do the exact same thing over what Bibi Netanyahu's actions are, then you're somehow anti-Semitic.
Okay, I understand that, and I don't disagree. I think you can criticize and analyze the actions of the Israeli government, the IDF, and also
just can't work on CNN if you do that.
Bibi Netanyahu. But to say that, listen, I'm not anti-Semitic because I have Jewish friends. It's kind of like saying I have black friends. I don't think that actually helps your argument, Candace.
No, I didn't say that. What I was saying is that I have Jewish friends. Judaism is not Zionism, as in I have friends who are Jewish who don't support what's happening overseas.
Okay.
Judaism is not Zionism. They don't stop being Jewish because they disagree with what Bibi Netanyahu is doing.
Okay, you say that you're not anti-Semitic, but I can't tell you what's in your heart. I believe
Don doesn't understand that. He's still thinking she was trying to say I like black friends or whatever. But I am looking for a Jewish friend. So if anybody wants to, please hit me up. I need you.
You said that you're not anti-Semitic. You don't believe that you're anti-Semitic. But there are anti-Semites and neo-Nazis. They do love you. And I want to play this clip. This is from Nick Fuentes, his show just this week. Watch this.
One other big development, Candace Owens did a show today. She did her show, and she talked about my beef with Jordan Peterson. And so I really appreciate her covering it. We love Candace Owens. She's beautiful. She's very intelligent, and she is really hardcore. She's been going off.
Does that bother you that, and that's the whole reason.
Yes, women hate compliments.
Reason I said, it looks this way, and maybe that's not your intention, as you said, but
almost like Don doesn't know much about women.
It looks this way, like you're saying, hey, don't look at what happened with the Holocaust, look over here. But if you have people like Nick Fuentes who said, hey, we love you, whatever, maybe your message isn't hitting correctly. What do you think of Fuentes saying
well,
that?
now you're just conflating.
His neo-Nazi audience love you.
Sure. So now you're just conflating things because you're.
So everyone who listens to Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi. So we've established that. We're just going to assert it, go off of it like it's a fact. So move on. Come on, answer the question.
Still kind of trying to sell this narrative that this somehow is about Jewish people. What Nick Fuentes is talking about, which is the first time I'm seeing it because I don't watch Nick Fuentes nearly as much as apparently everybody in the mainstream media does. What he's talking about is what I covered on my show as a news item, which was Jordan Peterson and him having a back and forth. Or Michaela, Dr. Jordan Peterson is, by the way, very lovely, very kind person, but it was a very newsworthy item when Michaela and Peterson, being his daughter, called for censorship, called for straight up censorship. She's like, we need to have censorship, anybody that uses the term filth. And it was a back and forth between her and Nick Fuentes because he responded and he said, your father literally called me a rat last week. This was a trending item on Twitter. I covered it on my show. To the extent that Nick Fuentes enjoyed the fact that I covered it in a meaningful capacity, because it is problematic when anybody calls for censorship. I don't care if the person's on the left or the person's on the right. You will make an enemy of me because I support the First Amendment and I believe that we have to have free speech. What can I say about that? It's an absurd thing for people to keep pretending. I'm a person that has across social media 10 million followers. And when you start getting desperate because you can't actually pull something that I've said, you start going, well, what do you think about this account? And this person has also said this, and this person likes you. If you did that, and I was then accountable for the words that every single person that followed me said, there's no way you can survive that. I could do that right now to you. I could have had my producers, look at this person who follows Don Lemon. They've said something against black people. So Don Lemon, it's like, that's a ridiculous thing to say. But to the extent that you ask me, and this has happened before, as Piers Morgan did, he said, this is some things that Nick Fuentes has said, do you agree with it? And I said, no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Hold me accountable for what I actually said.
Well, that was the reason I asked you about it. Because
but I don't think you showed me.
This is not a gotcha. I'm asking you.
But that is such a gotcha. That is such a gotcha to say it's nothing that you said, but let me show you this person who likes you. Because what you're trying to do is play this strategy with the public so they watch it and they go, well, she must be saying all sorts of things if this person likes her. Most people do like if you're going to say something on their show and you're showing the back forth that, he's obviously going to say, look, Candace covered this issue in a way that's consistent with the beliefs of the First Amendment. So he may say something that I fundamentally disagree with. Mm-hmm. But if Nick Fuentes says 1 + 1 equals 2, and I agree with that, that doesn't mean that I subscribe to everything Nick Fuentes says. If Nick Fuentes says only women can give birth, and I agree with that, you then go, oh, look, Nick Fuentes is celebrating you because you said only women can give birth. I mean, this is you're smarter than this, Don. You're in the public sphere. We cannot be beholden or responsible for every comment that is made by people who support us and follow us.
Well, that's why I put it up there, because if someone like...
Sir, have you not heard of Jesse Lee Peterson?
Nick Fuentes was saying good things about some of the things that I believed or what I said, that would actually be problematic for me. And I would want to respond to that. I would welcome the opportunity for Candace Owens to play that clip on her show so that I could knock it down and say, I don't believe in anything Nick Fuentes or any of his followers or viewers or whatever. I don't understand why they are happy with what
Don actually sounds smarter when he sounds drunk. Have you noticed that?
I said, but this is what I believe, and this is the context.
I do believe that it is problematic that Michaela Peterson called for censorship. So I can't knock that down. I can't say, like, what do you want me to say, Michelle? Well, because Nick Fuentes agrees with that perspective, I'm now anti-speech. That doesn't, I believe in free speech. I believe that what Michaela Peterson said was wrong. I genuinely believe that.
Okay.
Like you can't just call for censorship.
I've got to ask you about this because this is from your old show. And as I said, there are some things, I mean, you've actually defended me before. And I was like, wow, Candace Owens, whatever. And there are
He's going to make you regret that.
Things that I do where I say, you know what, Candace got it right. I like it. And there are other things where I'm like, oh my gosh, why?
Yeah, she's not defending me today. I disagree now.
Is she saying that, right? And this is one thing that I've been wanting to ask you about, Candace, because it really bothered me. But I want the explanation in the context, as you say.
Do you have any clips of anything that like you agreed with, or we're just gonna like pretend this is a friendly interview as you can like, okay. Just wondering, is there even one clip of something that you agree with?
I don't know. Maybe I agree with the next clip. But anyway, roll the next clip, please.
Bring shame back. Bring back saying you are disgusting.
Yes.
You are wrong. You are a hoe. You are a pervert. Call things for what they are. And that is another way that they've psychologically tried to transform speech in America by saying like, oh, okay, you have free speech. But if you say that word, like if you say like, oh, that's whack or that's gay, then that would make you a homophobe. You don't want to be a homophobe, do you? It's no. We shouldn't do that. And it's even the disappearance of words that actually had real meanings, like growing up, majoring in English, reading old English novels and understanding that a word like is a real word. It means a bundle of sticks.
Okay, so listen, listen.
Now let's see what the bundle of sticks has to say.
I believe in free speech, right? But I also believe that free speech comes with consequences. So the word you said was right? Is that exactly the word? So what did you mean by that? You think it's okay to say the word, to call people to their face?
No.
I do.
Actually, I said words have meaning. And so when you start allowing the perverts to dictate speech, then words just have to go away. And as I said in that clip, when I was growing up and I was reading English novels, when people say you're walking through the woods to get it meant a bundle of sticks. And then they said you can no longer say this word that has a real meaning, right? A bundle of sticks, because some pervert took that and threw it as an epithet.
Or an English cigarette.
That towards gay people. I think that's actually, that's a wrong way of thinking, because then what you're doing is you're allowing perverts to dictate society. So I don't like the death of the English language because people are getting offended. So that's like, I could pick any word. I could say, plant. And from now on, every time I see a gay guy, I'm gonna be like, he's a total plant. And then eventually they say you can't say plant anymore. It's like, no. This is a real word that has meaning. Attack the person who's perverting the word, but you don't suddenly disappear a word and you say you can no longer say it, or you can no longer read these Virginia Woolf novels because the word has been perverted. I think that's a backwards way of thinking.
Read Virginia Woolf novels, and the only people I know who are trying to ban books, Virginia Woolf, and other books that even say the N-word. I mean, it's conservatives.
Let's read Huck Finn or Tom Sawyer, whichever one that had that character in it. Let's read that.
That's who's trying to do it. I don't think that you should be banning books. But I do know, Candace, that language evolves over time. And when people say that word to me, they're not calling me a cigarette. They're not calling me.
Obviously, that's the point. It has a context. So if you want to punish that person because they're saying that offensively, that, if you feel that this person, but it's not fair to then say to everybody else who's not.
Why would you get mad? You know what you do when you get home. Come on, man. Is it offensive to you to call you something that you actually do? Like, it just sounds truthful at that point, doesn't it?
Using that word, this word has now been banned. I just think that's ridiculous. You know, that's my point.
You think people
Like, I don't think that you can suddenly say go backwards and delete words that had real meaning because someone has perverted it, because then it never stops.
If that F word, the one that we're not allowed to say, if that means a gay person and you are a gay person, what the fuck are you offended by? I don't get mad when people say that's a white guy. Like that, it's just truthful at that point, isn't it?
Becomes constantly having to update the language for people's feelings. I don't think that we should be doing that.
So you would never call me a in my face, right?
I do.
Well,
it's not on the air.
Why would I just randomly call you a
I'm just meaning.
Have you ever seen the Louis
C.K.
skit on? Have you ever seen the Louis C.K. skit on?
No, I like Louis C.K., but I don't think I've ever seen a skit on.
You should watch it.
Yeah. No, but you would never call like a gay person that to their face.
That seems like an absurd. Like, what? No, of course, I'm not just going around. I'm a 35-year-old mother. I don't go around being like, "Hey, you're." It's just like
right. But if you're fighting with one of them who is that, why would you not be able to say that word? Like, what is that? Is it just so nuclear that it hurts you so bad? Like, words don't hurt people. I hurt people.
I'm not 18 years old. Like, I'm not going around calling people names, period. I wouldn't go up to a fat person and call them names. It's just like it's an absurd thing to be going around.
But if you swipe on me on a dating app and you are fat, I am going to say, no, fatty.
Pointing and calling people names because I don't like them. I would no. So the answer is no. I would not.
Do you use the N-word?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. Here's something interesting that we may have some common ground on.
She has a chauffeur. She doesn't have to drive in traffic.
Okay. But what do you think about same-sex marriage?
It's a sin.
You think it's a sin? So you think I'm sinful?
What's that?
You think I'm sinful because I'm married to a man?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes, you're sinning. You are in a sinful relationship. I actually don't believe marriage can be between two men. So I don't.
But you understand, though, Ken.
What he doesn't ask is, are you a sinner too? And she'd probably say, yes, I'm a sinner too. Like, it's so what? She thinks something you do is bad. Why does that bother you so much? I'm sure there's a lot of things she does that you think is bad. So what? Who cares what she thinks about your sinning?
And maybe we're not going to agree on this now. I thought we would. Do you understand, though, that the same Bible verses and the same scriptures that are used to call same-sex marriage sinful are used to call interracial marriage sinful as well? And so there are people who would say that you are in a sinful marriage.
Can you tell me which verse it is that would make people say?
The thing is that it's actually not there, and that people twist the Bible verses. That's my whole point. Thank you for proving that, because it doesn't say that, and it's actually.
Thanks for proving my point. Yeah, no, that's not what happened there. You made a silly statement. There's nothing in the Bible about marrying black people. Like, what is he talking about?
You're going to say Leviticus or whatever. That's not actually what Leviticus is. But go on. I don't want to get into specifics about the Bible, but that's not what the Bible says.
No, she's only talking about the butt sex. We don't care if your boyfriend's white.
It's just people using and interpreting scripture in a way that they want to interpret it. So look, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't believe that I'm in a sinful marriage, but there are people who believe, Candace Owens, that you are in a sinful marriage because you are in an interracial marriage. And I say that as someone who is in an interracial marriage, so I am doubly sinful.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody make a biblical argument.
Notice how it didn't hurt her feelings like it hurt his, apparently.
Against people being married that are black and white. So that's why I said, can you just tell me what verse that was? Sodomy is obviously a sin, but I've never heard a biblical argument. I'm happy to learn. I honestly, I'm happy to learn.
Sodomy is not just for gay sex, right? You know that, right? Sodomy is.
Yeah, it's a sin always, by the way.
Yeah, it's a sin between. It can be a sin between heterosexuals as well.
Yes, that's correct.
So okay, but
yeah, being a sinner doesn't mean hey you can't do these things anymore. It's just things you probably shouldn't do.
You've never heard that interracial marriage was sinful?
I've never heard somebody make a biblical argument for interracial. I've never, and so that's why I'm saying if you could present that to me, and if maybe you're familiar with what verse that
not
was.
A biblical argument. It's also a religious argument as well, more so than anything, that you're in a sinful marriage and that Black and white people should not be married.
I mean, I'm obviously very aware that people could think that ideologically, but I've never heard that biblical argument made ever in my life. And I'm happy to be proven wrong here, but I think you made that up on the spot there.
So by saying that,
yeah, I think he made that up too. I've never heard a church say, yeah, Black people and white people can't get married. What the fuck was that? I've never heard that ever.
No, I didn't actually. But by saying that you believe that I'm in a sinful marriage, does that mean though that I should be discriminated?
I think that's our church that probably says that you're in a sinful marriage, and she goes with what the church says. You know, like most people who go to church.
Discriminated against?
No, I've never called for discrimination.
So you believe in the separation of church and state then?
Heterosexual couples can sin as well. I mean, I hope that you deal with that. I want you to be Christian and to understand why it is that sodomy is a sin and what else it yields in society. You know, I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you believe that I should be discriminated against. I don't
believe
I should be able to have, under the Constitution, you believe that I have the same rights as you and other heterosexuals, and that my marriage is just as valid under the Constitution as anybody else's, included.
Well, I believe that the problem became, that gets into a deeper theological discussion, but like the government should have never taken marriage away from the church. It should have been something that was maintained as a church practice. And so a lot of things happened there when the government took over and began marrying people, because then the arguments became, well, you get a tax break if you're married. And that is a way longer discussion that we can have on a different day. But to answer your question, I would never want any person based on their sins to ever be discriminated against, ever. I mean, I don't believe in discrimination. I don't believe that people should be treated differently. I think...
I don't know what she's talking about. I'm not dating no hoes. I'm trying not to, at least. That's all I can find, though.
People should get help, you know? And like we were just talking about with trans indoctrination, I believe that's a mental illness and people should seek help. But I don't believe that they should be discriminated against. I would never be okay with that. Okay. I mean, I have people that are, you know, gay and lesbians in my life. I have cousins who are lesbians. So it's not, I don't have hatred in my heart.
You have Jewish friends? You have gay friends?
You're trying to be funny.
Do you have gay friends? I want to know.
He wants to audition.
Yes, I actually don't have, like, I really kind of feel like I only hang out with my family right now. So I'm a little, I've got 3 kids.
Denied, Don, sorry.
Under 3, so I don't really have friends right now, but yeah, sure.
No, seriously, you don't have gay friends?
You don't want them.
Well, I have gay people in my family. So yeah, that's the extent of my friendships with gay people.
Are you homophobic?
Yes, because you're homophobic if you don't want to be friends with Don Lemon.
No, seriously.
You're such an absurd...
You may just dislike stupid people.
And you would say, of course I have gay friends.
You're just such an absurd thing. First off, the person that... You're just an absurd human being. Are you homophobic? Oh, I mean, just like, what does homophobia actually mean? Can you give me a definition of homophobia? If I was homophobic, would I be doing like this show? Do you think I'm like scared? Like I'm like, oh my God, look, there's a gay man. I'm so scared.
No, not at all.
To have a phobia is like to have a phobia and a fear of, like, you know, do you think I fear like 2 gay men that are walking down the street holding hands. Like, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't fear anything but God.
If they start bleeding, I'm putting some gloves on before I help, though.
That's it.
Just saying. So that was a good one. I kind of like that one. Let me see if I can start this. There we go. All right, I'm gonna let the dog take you out. He needs to go for a walk, so he's getting impatient. I will see y'all on Wednesday. I might do an upload. I got a couple of videos I've already done, like they weren't live, but I did them just because they were recorded because of the content and how they mess with me. So I might be uploading one of those either Wednesday or Friday, but look for me Wednesday or Friday. There'll be something new either way. Take him out here, dog. Peace. I'll see y'all Wednesday.